One of the coolest musical journeys of my life was the research that I did on a piece that I wrote called Echoes. Now, I'm mostly active as a conductor. I make my living as a conductor. I'm music director of the Youngstown Symphony, but I am also active as a composer. And I was paid to write a certain unique kind of piece. I was commissioned to write this piece to link 3 regions of the United States: Massachusetts, Hawaii, and Alaska. And I was commissioned by a group called the Echo Partners. It's 5 museums and native heritage centers. And what was incredible about this commission was that I got to go to these locations and meet with Native American artists and have these private performances of their works. I went to a tiny whaling village on the northernmost tip of the state of Alaska called Barrow, Alaska. Still largely a subsistence economy. To some extent, life in Barrow, Alaska hasn't changed in 10,000 years. And I had these sort of private concerts where these Native Alaskan musicians would do their songs and dances for me, and they were fantastic. And it was exciting for me on so many different levels to see these cool dances and this amazing drum licks that they play in all kinds of interesting tempos and meters and stuff like that, and to get their extraordinary enthusiasm for this music. It's a completely different function of music than a symphony. Symphony is about skill and talent and polish and precision. Their music is about the community getting together and doing something together as a community. Very different function. Everyone in the village is a musician. No one is not a musician. Everyone in the village is a dancer. It's very different than, not everyone plays viola. It's a whole other thing. And the joy that these folks had for these songs, it was just great. I also had a similar trip to Massachusetts. Met with some Wampanoag Native Americans there, and a similar trip to Hawaii. Learned all about the 2 different kinds of hula, and then I was supposed to write a piece of music that included the following. 1, indigenous music from the 3 locations in its pure form, not changed. They wanted me to actually choose some songs from these native tribes and put it in the piece. 2, sights and sounds, because this piece was always going to be a multimedia thing, with video projections, such like that. Sights and sounds from the locations. I remember going on this hike well out of town in Honolulu and hearing those bird noises and the wind bristling through the trees. I'll never forget that moment. And just at that moment, my tour guide sang this ancient Hawaiian song, in a sense a prayer to the forest, welcoming, in a sense asking permission to enter the forest. And I still have that on tape. Incredible moment, incredible. And I was supposed to use the actual dances as well in full costume. Well, there's really no other piece like it. So I was starting from scratch. A person these days writing a symphony, we have 250 years of symphonic composition to model. Well, here's how composers have done this for 250 years. Okay, I could do it similarly. There was no model for this. So I started writing Echoes, and I decided to break it into scenes. So I wrote it in 6 scenes. And what links these 3 locations is the 19th century whaling trade. The whaling ships would leave Massachusetts, sail all the way below South America up to Hawaii, resupply whale, sail all the way up to off the shores of Alaska, whale, and sail all the way back. That's what links these 3 locations. And life aboard a whaling ship was, the survival rate was in the 40 percentile. It was terrible. Mostly they would die of food poisoning or, and they were also wanted me to portray life aboard a whaling ship. So I got all this stuff to put into this piece. And I'm extremely proud of it. We premiered it in Anchorage. It has also been performed at the Rasmussen Theater, at the National Museum of the American Indian, at the Smithsonian, and it is quite a spectacle. One thing that we're finding more and more, at least in part in the life of a symphony orchestra, people want to come to something that's a show. Not necessarily just to see the musicians sit there and play music in its pure form. They want a show. Well, Echoes is a show on steroids. It's a huge spectacle. Huge screen with these gorgeous video projections from the 3 locations. Beautiful peaks in Alaska, all this greenery in Hawaii and Massachusetts, things like that. And these dances sung and danced in full native regalia with all these incredible drums and these phenomenal dances, all with a full symphony behind it. I'm extremely proud of Echoes. This is a project with a national scope, national reach. As I said, it was performed, the small version performed at the Smithsonian. It's been recorded, and I'm very excited to bring it to Youngstown.